Hey friends, it's Robert Storm up in Inception Church. I haven't been posting on this in quite some time. I took some time off, staying with some friends and making moves in my own life. But I wanted to give a little motivation online if I could, and I feel like now's the time to reinitiate this and see if I can't help some people and give maybe a little thought-provoking substance for you guys today. My motorcycle was recently stolen, by the way. Some of you might not know that, and that's fine. Why should you care, honestly? But that was a week ago, and it's kind of difficult to deal with the fact that you don't have transportation to get to and from work. That can make things an issue. But I know that God works in all sorts of ways that we don't understand. And I wanted to point out one of the verses that kept me going for a lot of crazy things that happen in my life, but this time as well. The verse in Romans 8:28, we know that all things work together for good, to them that love God, to them who are called according to his purpose. So I have to ask myself just two questions very simply. Do I love God? Yes, I do. Am I called according to a purpose that he has for me? Yes, I am. And you may not understand what your purpose is in this world. Some of you might be lost and not sure what that is. But God's plan is coming to fruition no matter what. And so you can rest assured that what you are doing is part of God's plan. And so all you got to do is recognize that. You have to recognize that, yes, I love God, and yes, I believe that everything is going according to his plan, according to his purpose, and I'm a part of that. And once you meet those two requirements, then it says in the verse, we know that all things work together for good. Now, this is a mindset, and I've said this in a previous video that I did a while back ago, but this is a mindset thing. This is saying that not only is this coming to fruition, but this is also a mindset to them that love God, to them who are called according to his purpose. To those people, all things work together for good. It's not saying that things are going to work together for good for people who don't feel that's the case. And this is kind of a self-prophecy statement where you literally have to believe that something is the case in order for it to manifest. This is a faith-based belief system. So you have to have some element of faith there. But knowing that all things work together for good, I know a few things. I know that my motorcycle is going out into the world. It's probably being dissected and somebody's using it for parts, or maybe somebody's driving it, unlikely. But I know that it's being added into the economy one way or another. That cash flow that they're getting from selling off the parts of my motorcycle is going to be used in some way, shape, or form in the future to help someone in need. It could be the actual person who stole it. It could be someone else. But I know that my motorcycle getting stolen is not going to hinder God's direct path. God already has a plan in motion. God already has an end goal. We already know certain elements of the future that God has outlined. That hasn't changed. The fact that my motorcycle is gone has not changed a thing when it comes to God's plan. In fact, if I look at it from a faith-based perspective, that all things do work together for good, then I know that something good is going to manifest out of this. It might not be for me, it will probably be for someone else. But I do know that good is coming, and that gives me hope. I also wanted to mention the thought process that God uses. He outlines it in Isaiah 55, verses 8 and 9. He says, my thoughts are not your thoughts, neither are your ways my ways, saith the Lord. For as the heavens are higher than the earth, so are my ways higher than your ways, and my thoughts than your thoughts. So maybe we're perplexed or confused by how God is moving and we don't understand it. But I promise you that God's thought processes are a lot higher than the average human on earth. Okay? I mean, God has to think about the economy, not in the US, but the entire world. He's got to think of the science. He's got to think of the molecules moving back and forth, the photons and electrons going from atom to atom, etc. To create the molecules. He's keeping your body running. There's a lot of things that God is working behind the scenes that we don't always give him credit for, but he's doing it. And I promise you that there is good in your future if you trust him, trust his direction. Okay? When God created the world, it was good. He is pursuing that again. Did we mess up? Yes. Yes. We decided we wanted to know the difference between good and evil. And it's amazing how often people will bash each other for this is wrong, this is right, etc. They're pointing out the good, the evil. They're saying, oh, this is corrupt, etc. It's not really our place to pick out the weeds from the wheat. We kind of have to leave it there and trust that, let them grow together and trust that it'll work itself out in the end. But God specifically says that his thoughts are not our thoughts. His ways are higher than ours. And so we don't understand all the technical details of how we're going to get where we're going to get. But we trust that God has a good future in store for us. And so that's one thing that keeps me going, is that verse that God points out, you don't always understand what I'm doing, but I promise you, I'm doing something good. I have higher motives than yours. And I promise you, you're going to see the end result. And I wanted to mention another thing. This is kind of a side note, but I still feel like this can help somebody. Hebrews 4:15 says, "For we have not an high priest which cannot be touched with feeling of our infirmities, but was in all points tempted like as we are, yet without sin." So this can obviously apply to the concept that Jesus was tempted to steal and he didn't. So maybe when you have that temptation, maybe you can refrain from it. On the other hand, there's a lot of other aspects to life that we're like, yeah, but Jesus didn't have to deal with that. Or we make some kind of excuse like, oh, you know what? God doesn't understand us. He doesn't understand our current situation. He doesn't understand what we have to go through. The Bible says he was tempted in all points. He does understand every facet of what we're going through, and he was able to overcome it. Okay? And he went through life without sin. Now, I'm not saying that we are going to be 100% perfect, but if we have Jesus in us, then the more we focus on him, the more we lean on him, the more we are made perfect through him, then we can refrain as well from doing any sorts of activities that are detrimental to ourselves, to our neighbors, to the world as a whole. And we can really encapsulate that mindset that Jesus gave when he said there's only two laws that matter. There's love God with all your heart and love your neighbor as yourself. And that all the laws and all the prophets, it all boils down to that. I hope this has been helpful for somebody, and I hope to do this more often in the near future. And for now, I'm going to let you all have a great fucking day, and I'll see you next time.